Most people think being open is a good thing. It isn't. It is a weakness dressed in the language of connection. Every time you speak without calculation, every time you share what you feel, reveal what you want, explain what you fear, you are not building trust. You are building a map, a precise, detailed map of your interior. And you are handing it, freely, to people who have not yet proven they deserve to hold it. You are not being authentic. You are being readable. And readable people are manageable people. Think about what that means precisely. The person who knows your ambitions knows what to dangle in front of you. The person who knows your insecurities knows exactly where to press. The person who knows your plans knows how to position themselves before you arrive. You did not give them power. You narrated it to them. In real time, voluntarily, often in the name of honesty. That is not honesty. That is exposure without strategy. Most people will spend their entire lives wondering why they keep losing ground to people who seem to do less, say less, reveal less. Why the quiet ones accumulate? Why the ones who share everything always seem to need more? The answer is not luck. It is not talent. It is information asymmetry. Machiavelli understood this with a precision that made him dangerous to read and dangerous to ignore. He observed that power does not flow to the most capable or the most deserving, it flows to the most controlled. To the person who understands that what you withhold is often more powerful than what you deploy. That silence, in the right moment, is not emptiness. It is architecture. That the person who knows more about you than you know about them holds the structural advantage in every interaction that follows. This video will show you, law by law, exactly what that means in practice. Not as paranoia, not as coldness. As precision, as the deliberate understanding of what information does once it leaves you, and why certain things should never leave you at all. Once you understand what you have been giving away, you will stop giving it. Not out of fear, out of clarity. Number 1. Never share your next move before you make it. The announcement is not momentum. It is the beginning of resistance. Every time you tell someone what you are about to do, the plan you are building, the decision you are approaching, the direction you are moving, you do not create support. You create an audience. And audiences do not simply observe. They evaluate, they position, they prepare, pay attention. The person who knows your next move before you make it has time you do not have. Time to form an opinion that hardens before the evidence arrives. Time to discuss it with others, who form opinions of their own. Time to place themselves strategically in relation to your plan, above it, against it, or ahead of it. You haven't moved yet, and you are already behind. Here's what most people don't realize. There is a psychological reward in announcing plans. The announcement produces a response, interest, approval, validation, that mimics the feeling of progress. The brain registers the positive reaction as partial completion. Studies in motivational psychology have demonstrated this precisely. People who announce goals are statistically less likely to achieve them, because the social reward of the announcement partially satisfies the drive that would have sustained the effort. You told them it felt like doing, it wasn't, a scenario. You are considering a significant professional move, a new direction, a departure, an ambitious project. You mention it to a colleague. They respond with enthusiasm, or caution, or both. The conversation expands. More people learn of it. By the time you are ready to act, the move has already been discussed, evaluated, and assigned a probability of success by people who have no stake in your outcome. Their assessment is now part of the environment you are moving through. You created that resistance. With a sentence. Before a single action was taken, another scenario. You are navigating a negotiation, a salary discussion, a contract, a personal arrangement. You disclose your ideal outcome before the process begins. You do this in the name of clarity, of honesty, of establishing good faith. What you have actually done is establish a ceiling. The other party now knows the upper boundary of your ambition. They will begin from just below it. You have negotiated against yourself before the conversation formally started. The old version of you believed that sharing plans created momentum and invited collaboration. The new understanding is this: plans shared before execution are plans exposed to interference. The move that no one sees coming cannot be countered before it lands. Silence before action is not secrecy. It is strategy. Move first. Explain later, if explanation is even necessary. The most powerful thing you can do is let results speak for a plan no one knew existed. Number 2. Never share the full extent of your capabilities. The person who knows exactly what you can do knows exactly what to ask of you and exactly what to fear from you. Both are liabilities. When you demonstrate the ceiling of your ability, when you perform at maximum capacity to impress, to prove, to establish your value, you do not create mystery. You create a known quantity, and known quantities are easier to manage, easier to underestimate when convenient, and easier to position against when the relationship shifts. Pay attention. There is a difference between demonstrating competence and revealing its full architecture. The first builds credibility. The second eliminates unpredictability. And unpredictability, the sense that there may be more beneath the surface than has been shown, is one of the most durable forms of influence available. Here's what most people don't realize. People do not respect what they have fully mapped. They respect what they suspect exists beyond what they have seen. The artist who shows every technique in the first conversation has nothing left to reveal. The strategist who deploys every capability in the first engagement has nothing left to hold in reserve. Reserve is not laziness. Reserve is leverage. What you have not yet shown is more powerful than what you have, a scenario. In a professional environment, you are given a task. You complete it with everything available to you, maximum effort, full skill, every resource deployed. The result is excellent. The response is positive. And then the expectations recalibrate. The standard has been set at your ceiling. Every future performance will be measured against it. What was once impressive is now the baseline. And you have no reserve to draw from when the moment requires something beyond baseline. You gave everything early. Now there's nothing left to surprise them with. Another scenario. Someone is assessing your capabilities in a competitive context, trying to determine where you stand relative to others, what you are able to do, what they need to prepare for. You let them see enough to establish credibility, not enough to establish your ceiling. Let them wonder about the rest. Because what they suspect you might be capable of will influence their approach to you more powerfully than what they have confirmed. The old version of you performed at maximum to prove your worth. The new understanding is this: worth is established through credibility. Leverage is maintained through mystery. Show enough to be taken seriously. Withhold enough to remain underestimated. The most dangerous person in the room is the one no one has fully figured out yet. Never let them finish the calculation. Number 3, never share your financial position. Money is not simply a resource. It is a signal. And the signal it sends, in either direction, reshapes how every person who receives it will subsequently treat you. Reveal abundance, and you attract calculation. People will revise what they ask of you, what they expect from you, and what they believe they deserve from your proximity. The generosity they extend will carry a silent ledger. The relationships that form will have a structural imbalance built into them from the first conversation. Reveal scarcity and you attract a different form of calculation. The person who knows you need something knows how long to make you wait for it. Pay attention. Financial disclosure, whether upward or downward, transfers information that cannot be untransferred. Once someone knows the architecture of your resources, they will use that knowledge. Not always maliciously, often unconsciously. But the knowledge shapes their behavior toward you in ways that are precise, persistent, and entirely outside your control. Here's what most people don't realize. The social impulse to discuss money, to commiserate about scarcity, to signal success, to establish relatability through financial vulnerability, feels like connection. It is rarely connection. It is the conversion of private information into social currency at a rate of exchange that always favors the listener. You spent something real to feel understood for a moment. A scenario. You are experiencing genuine financial pressure. The stress of it is real, the weight of it present in every decision. You mention it to someone in your social or professional circle, not for practical help, but because carrying it alone feels heavier than it needs to. The information spreads. It always spreads. Now the person who is negotiating with you knows you need the deal more than you let on. The person considering you for an opportunity recalibrates their assessment of your stability. The person who previously treated you as a peer begins to treat you as someone who might need managing. You didn't ask for any of that. You asked for a moment of relief. What you received was a permanent revision of how they see you. Another scenario. A windfall, a promotion, a significant financial development that improves your position meaningfully. The natural impulse is to share it, to allow the people around you to participate in the moment. Some of them will celebrate with you, genuinely. Others will begin, quietly, to recalculate. What you owe, what you can afford. What is reasonable to expect from you now? The relationship does not change visibly, but the ledger beneath it has been rewritten. The old version of you believed that financial honesty built trust. The new understanding is this: financial information builds leverage for whoever receives it. Keep your position, in either direction, structurally ambiguous. Let people assume competence. Never confirm the ceiling or the floor. What they don't know about your resources, they cannot use against you. Number 4. Never share your personal struggles with those who have not earned that access. There is a version of vulnerability that builds genuine connection. And there is a version that simply redistributes your weight onto people who will use it as information. Most people cannot tell the difference in the moment, because both feel like relief. The pressure of carrying something difficult is real. The desire to set it down, even briefly, even in words, is understandable. And in the right relationship, with the right person, the setting down is legitimate. But most people are not in the right relationship. With most people, pay attention. The person who knows your struggles knows your soft architecture. They know where the weight sits, which pressure points are active, what narratives are running beneath your surface. That knowledge does not stay neutral. In the hands of someone who is not genuinely aligned with your well-being, even someone who considers themselves your friend, it becomes material. For reassurance that keeps you dependent. For comparison that keeps you diminished. For the subtle deployment of your own vulnerabilities back at you in moments of conflict. You gave them the map. They will use it. Not always deliberately, but they will use it. Here's what most people don't realize. Machiavelli observed that those who reveal their wounds in courts and in positions of negotiation invite the precise targeting of those wounds. The person who knows where you are fragile knows where to press when the dynamic shifts. And dynamics always shift. The colleague who becomes a competitor, the friend who becomes a rival, the confidant who becomes someone whose interests diverge from yours. What you shared in trust does not expire when the trust does. A scenario. You are going through a period of genuine difficulty, professionally, personally, or both. The weight of it is real. You share it with someone in your circle in a moment of genuine need. In that moment, the exchange feels equal. They receive what you give. They respond with what feels like understanding. 6 months later, in a conversation where your interests and theirs are no longer aligned, you hear it again. Not as an attack, as a reference point. A quiet recalibration of how they see your position relative to theirs. Your struggle became their context for you. And context, once formed, is difficult to revise. Another scenario. You are navigating something painful, a relationship ending, a professional failure, a loss of some kind. The impulse is to process it aloud, to bring others into it, to allow the speaking of it to reduce the weight. Choose the container for that speaking with precision. Not everyone who listens with warmth is a safe container. Some people collect what they hear. Some people file it without knowing they are filing it. The warmth is real. The filing happens anyway. The old version of you believed that sharing struggles with others was how you process them. The new understanding is this: selective silence about your difficulties is not repression. It is the protection of your interior architecture from people who have not demonstrated they deserve access to it. Let very few people see where you are fragile. Let even fewer see it twice. Your pain is not content for other people's understanding of you. Number 5. Never share your contempt, your dislikes, or your enemies. What you criticize tells people exactly what threatens you. What you dislike tells them what you are unable to rise above. What you name as your enemy tells them where your attention is stuck. And none of that information should be available. Pay attention. The impulse to share negative judgments about people, about situations, about those who have treated you poorly, feels like honesty. It feels like the fair distribution of accurate information to people who deserve to know it. In rare cases, with rare people, it may be exactly that. In most cases, it is a map of your vulnerabilities handed to an audience of mixed allegiances. Here's what most people don't realize. The person who hears you criticize someone else does not simply receive the criticism. They receive 2 pieces of information simultaneously. What you think of that person, and what you are willing to say about people when they are not present. The second piece of information is about you, and it is not flattering. It tells them that proximity to you carries the risk of eventually being spoken about in the same register. You meant to inform them. You warned them. A scenario. Someone has treated you poorly, professionally, personally, in a way that was genuinely unfair. The injustice of it is real. The desire to name it, to have it recognized, to distribute your accurate assessment of this person to the people around you, this is understandable. Resist it, because the people you tell have relationships with that person that you do not fully know, loyalties that are not visible to you, interests that are served by a version of events different from yours. Your accurate account of what happened becomes, in the hands of someone with different allegiances, a piece of evidence deployed in a direction you did not intend. You shared information. They used it as material. Another scenario. You dislike someone in your professional environment. The dislike is legitimate, based on their behavior, their character, their pattern of operating. You mention it carefully to someone you trust. The mention travels. It always travels. Now the person you dislike knows that you dislike them, which changes how they position themselves against you. Now others in the environment know it, which changes the political landscape around you in ways you did not choose and cannot fully map. The old version of you believed that sharing honest negative assessments was clarity. The new understanding is this: your contempt is intelligence about you. Your dislikes are a map of your pressure points. Your enemies named are enemies prepared. Let people wonder whether you have enemies. Never let them know who. What you refuse to speak about publicly, no one can use against you. Number 6. Never share your long-term ambitions with short-term relationships. Not everyone in your life is there for all of it. Some people are present for a season, a chapter, a phase, a particular configuration of circumstances that will eventually shift. The relationship is real within its duration. But its duration is not infinite. And the person who knows your long-term architecture is a person who will be carrying that architecture long after they have moved to a different position relative to you. Pay attention. Ambition is one of the most sensitive categories of personal information you carry, because it contains not just what you want, but what you believe about yourself. How large you think, how far you intend to go, what you believe you are capable of that you have not yet demonstrated. That self-belief, shared too early or too broadly, becomes material for comparison, for skepticism, for the quiet social mechanism that reduces large ambitions to manageable ones. Here's what most people don't realize. The people who diminish your ambitions are not always doing so with malice. Some of them are doing so from genuine care, protecting you from what they perceive as unrealistic expectations. Some are doing so from their own unconscious calibration of what is possible projected onto you. And some, not all, but some, are doing so because your success at the scale you are describing would revise the power dynamic in a direction that does not serve them. All three produce the same result. Your ambition, shared, returns to you smaller than it left. A scenario. You are early in a significant pursuit, a project, a transition, a long-term goal whose full scope you have only begun to understand yourself. The energy of it is high. The desire to share it, to have someone else receive the vision, is strong. You share it with someone who is present in your life in a real but temporary way. The response, cautious, questioning, comparative, introduces doubt into a structure that was not yet solid enough to withstand doubt. The ambition does not disappear, but it contracts slightly, becomes slightly more defended, spends energy on justification that it should have spent on construction. You did not need their permission, you sought their witness. What arrived was their limitation. Another scenario. Years later, the relationship has shifted, as temporary relationships do. The person is no longer in the position they occupied when you shared the ambition, but they carry what you told them. They reference it in contexts you are not present for. They have become, without either of you intending it, an unwanted keeper of your private architecture. The old version of you believed that sharing ambition with those close to you created connection and accountability. The new understanding is this: ambition shared before it is executed is ambition exposed to interference. Share the vision with the people who will be there when it arrives, not with everyone who is present while you are building it. The size of what you intend is yours alone until the results make it undeniable. Let the work announce what the words should never have carried. Number 7. Never share your methods. Only your results. The outcome is evidence. The method is intelligence. When you share results, you demonstrate capability. People understand what you produce. They respect the output. They engage with you on the basis of demonstrated competence. When you share methods, you hand them the architecture. The specific sequence of decisions, the particular approach that produced the outcome, the precise mechanics of how you operate. And the person who holds your architecture no longer needs you to access what you produce. Pay attention. This is the most consistently underestimated category of information people give away. Because the sharing of methods feels like generosity, like teaching, like the open distribution of knowledge to people who will benefit from it. Sometimes that is exactly what it is. But in competitive contexts, in professional environments, in any situation where your ability to produce outcomes is part of your value, your method is your structural advantage. The moment it becomes common knowledge, it becomes common capability. You have not taught them, you have equalized them. Here's what most people don't realize. Machiavelli observed that the prince who fully explains his strategy to his advisors has transferred the most important element of his power to people whose interests are not permanently identical to his. The method, the how of things, is often more durable and more transferable than the result. Results require the person. Methods can be replicated by anyone with the patience to apply them. Share the destination, never share the map. A scenario. You have developed an approach to your work, a way of thinking through problems, a sequence of decisions, a specific methodology that consistently produces outcomes others cannot easily replicate. It took time, it took failure. It is genuinely yours. You explain it to a colleague, generously, in detail. They apply it, imperfectly at first, but with increasing competence. Within a year, they are producing comparable results. Your differentiation, the thing that made your contribution specific and irreplaceable, has been distributed. You are still competent, you are no longer singular. Another scenario. In a negotiation or competitive context, someone asks how you arrived at a particular outcome, what process you used, what factors you weighted, what sequence produced the result. The question feels like admiration. It may genuinely be admiration. It is also reconnaissance. The answer, fully given, provides a framework they can use against you in the next engagement. They will know what you value, how you think, which inputs drive which outputs. They will enter the next interaction with a model of your mind. Give them the result. Give them nothing else. The old version of you believed that transparency about process was a form of honesty and collaboration. The new understanding is this: your method is the source of your results. Protect the source. The person who knows your results respects what you have done. The person who knows your methods can do it without you. Let them have the outcome. Let them wonder how it was built. The mystery of your method is not arrogance. It is the most durable competitive advantage available to you. You have reached the end. Let's be exact about what was examined here. Information is not neutral. Every piece of it that leaves you changes the landscape you are navigating. Who has access to your interior? Who understands your position? Who can prepare for your moves? Who can press where you are fragile? Most people give this away continuously, in the name of honesty, of connection, of the social ease that comes from having nothing concealed. What they experience as openness, others experience as access. Law 1. Never share your next move before you make it. The announcement is not momentum. It is the beginning of resistance. Move first. Let results speak for a plan no one knew existed. Law 2. Never share the full extent of your capabilities. What you have not yet shown is more powerful than what you have. The most dangerous person in the room is the one no one has fully figured out yet. Law 3. Never share your financial position. What they don't know about your resources, they cannot use against you. Keep the floor and the ceiling structurally ambiguous. Law 4. Never share your personal struggles with those who have not earned that access. Let very few people see where you are fragile. Your pain is not content for other people's understanding of you. Law 5. Never share your contempt, your dislikes, or your enemies. What you refuse to speak about publicly, no one can use against you. Let people wonder whether you have enemies. Never let them know who. Law 6. Never share your long-term ambitions with short-term relationships. Let the work announce what the words should never have carried. The size of what you intend is yours alone until the results make it undeniable. Law 7. Never share your methods, only your results. The person who knows your results respects what you have done. The person who knows your methods can do it without you. Most people will spend their entire lives wondering why they feel exposed. Why they keep losing the advantage they should have held. Why the people they trusted most ended up knowing exactly where to press. They gave the map away, freely, repeatedly. in the name of being known. You do not need to be fully known to be effective. You need to be effective. The person who understands what information does once it leaves them, and chooses accordingly, is not cold. They are not isolated. They are not living in paranoia. They are operating with a clarity that most people will never reach, because most people confuse disclosure with depth and silence with distance. Disclosure is not depth. Silence is not distance. Depth is who you are. Silence is how you protect it. What you choose not to reveal is not a wall. It is the foundation everything visible is built on.